Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm LaTanya Turner, filling in for Khalil Ekalona, and this is Nashville. Today's program is on Pointe. Get it? Because it's all about the dance scene in Middle Tennessee. And dance fervor here is high, with only a week before the acclaimed Alvin Ailey Dance Company makes a tour stop in Nashville at TPAC. The Ailey Company is celebrating its 65th anniversary with a 21-city tour, a diverse repertoire of new works, as well as classic Ailey productions, along with educational and training experiences in tour cities. And what an honor to have performing artists from the Alvin Ailey Company here in the studio with me. Constance Damadieu has danced with the Ailey troupe for 13 years, and she is the face of the current season poster. And welcome, Constance. Also joining me is Maggie Pelton, a former Ailey dancer who has lived in Nashville since the mid-'90s. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I should say, Constance, there's a little bit of a delay because let's tell our listeners, you are joining us from Chicago, correct?
Yes, correct.
Because you're currently touring, is that right?
Yes, we are on the last 3 weeks of our tour.
Yes, and you'll be in Nashville next week. And, you know, many of our listeners do know something about the groundbreaking work of the Alvin Ailey Company. I certainly am one of those people, and how it started with the visionary African-American artist Alvin Ailey. But what would you say the theater is most known for?
Well, I would say it's most known for his masterpiece, Revelations.
Yes.
I think everyone can relate to his blood memories that were born out of the South, you know. So I think it's very relatable.
Revelations was a revelation for me when I first saw it as a little girl. And the thing that I remember is the Ailey Company came to places where people might not otherwise have opportunities. I grew up in Louisiana. I was able to see that company when I was younger perform, and Revelations was just so dynamic and powerful. And it's still a part of the repertoire, right?
Absolutely. It closes almost every performance.
Okay. So you're the face of the poster for this season. Tell us about this 65th season tour.
So we have been on a 21-city domestic tour celebrating 65 years of Mr. Ailey's legacy. We have a plethora of pieces, I think, that is for everyone. We have a piece called Century it gives you New Orleans vibes. That's choreographed by Amy Hall Garner. We have a piece called Me, Myself, and You, which is choreographed by a alumni Ailey dancer, Elizabeth Rojas. Of course, we're doing Revelations. We have Ailey Classics, which are excerpts of Mr. Ailey's work. We have a piece by Kyle Abraham, which is Are You in Your Feelings? That is a playlist within itself for every generation. I mean, spanning from doo-wop to hip hop. We're just bringing culture to the people.
Excellent. I'm going to look for that work. Centuries, is that what you said? That's
yes, Century.
Okay. It'll remind me of home, it sounds like, New Orleans.
Absolutely. I think it will.
Okay. Well, let's bring Maggie in because, Maggie, tell us a little bit about your experiences with the Ailey Company. You live here in Nashville, but you had the privilege of actually working with Mr. Ailey, right?
I did. I had the great fortune of being the last female chosen by Alvin Ailey himself.
Wow.
Back in the 80s. And unfortunately, it was the last year of his life. But I was so fortunate to be dancing with some of the greatest dancers of all time, Gary DeLoach, Dudley Williams.
Judith Jamison?
She wasn't dancing at the time.
Okay.
But she did take over as the artistic director after that. So I did get to work with her. And Yes, Elizabeth Rojas, who was just mentioned, choreographed one of the pieces on this tour. I got to work with her as well. And again, it just was a dream, actually. I want to say almost a fantasy to actually be in that company. Speaking of revelations, I had never seen Alvin Ailey. And I was at the Juilliard School and got the opportunity to go and see them and just fell in love and thought, is that something I could do?
Yes. Yeah. I think anyone who saw that, especially a little girl like me, was like, I want to do that.
Yeah, I was primarily a ballet dancer, a classical ballet dancer, and I really didn't even know what modern was. Back in that day, you know, you were either just a ballet dancer or a modern dancer or a jazz dancer. You didn't do everything like the dancers do today. But at school, I found modern dance and I loved it. And I thought, how can I put all these things together? And seeing Revelations really made me go, you can do it all. And so that was really a fantasy of mine. And fortunately, it came true.
Well, speaking of the impact that work had on you, let's talk a little bit about Mr. Ailey and just give us a little bit of his biographical information and what he did to reshape how people thought about dance.
Absolutely. He was so sure about himself that he wanted to bring Black culture to everyone, wherever you were. And I am a white girl. And I remember my first rehearsal. We only had 3 days before we were going on the road. And he was talking about we were going to the French Revolution celebration in Paris, and we were doubling up the cast for Revelations. And he said, you know, they love us there. I can't wait to go to Paris. We bring, Black culture to everyone. And he looked at me and he said, and this includes you too, Margaret. And I looked around and I realized, this is pretty special.
Yes.
But it hadn't even dawned on me. You know, the work speaks to everybody, every culture, every background.
And it sounds like he was so welcoming and didn't see people in the superficial ways that many might have viewed.
Exactly.
Dancers.
And he was, he's known for not liking the cookie cutter dancer. He wanted dancers who colored the movement, who brought something new and different to the studio. And I remember when I was in the second company was my first time actually working with him. They were bringing back a piece called Isba. And I got to work with him and just, again, I never felt different. I just felt included, but I also felt like I had a reason for being there that was different from everybody else's. And I think that still holds true today.
Well, speaking of today's company, Constance, I think it's important to talk a little bit about your story because you danced with the Ailey Company in the early 2000s, then left for a while, raised a family or started a family, then returned. And many people familiar with dance kind of think it's over. Traditionally, dance has not embraced people after about the age of 30. So tell us a little bit about your trajectory and how the Ailey Company has been so inclusive of people across demographics.
I was a fellowship student at the Ailey School. I trained for 2 years and then joined Ailey 2 for 2 years. And then I was hired by Miss Judith Jamison in 2007. I was in my early 20s then. And then I left the company around the time she retired, which was 2011. And I raised 2 beautiful kids. I have a 12-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. And, I was starting to get the itch again. I was like, I'm really missing dancing, touring, and just Mr. Ailey's work. And so I, went to go visit the company and I took company class. And then literally the next day, Masazumi Chaya, who's the assistant artistic director, gave me a call and was like, would you want to come back? And I was like, I've already, thought about this. And the answer is yes. And he was like, talk to your family, your husband, make sure it's okay. And I was like, we already did that. So I rejoined in 2016 under Robert Battle. And I've been here ever since. I'm joined back when I'm in my 30s, completely different body, different person, different experiences. And, it's been great. I feel that I'm a better dancer because I'm a mom, and I feel like I'm a better mom because I'm a dancer. Yeah.
Great. And I think it's, we have a population that is generally aging. People are living longer. And I guess, of course, you still have many years, we hope and believe, as a performer. But is there anything you want to say to someone who's a bit more seasoned, we might say, about sticking with dance and enjoying the art form?
Absolutely. I think Ailey, the company, is a great representation for seasoned dancers. I mean, I've witnessed dancers dancing up into their 50s and 60s. And
Wow.
I think it is beautiful to see that difference in maturity and life experiences in the company, because then you can help facilitate the grooming and pass down the information that was shared upon you to the younger dancers. And, I think it's very important for women, especially, and men who want to be parents, to have that option of returning back to dance, because I just think it adds a little, something more to your movement. For instance, Cry, the 17-minute solo that Ailey created for his mother and for Black women everywhere.
Yes.
I mean, how great is it I got to perform that piece before I was a mom, and I got to perform it even now after being a mom. And I think it's definitely well more real, since I have that experience of being a mother and know what that feels like, to have that, that mother bear, the anxiousness, the worry, all those things that come with motherhood,
And being
to really
a
be able to
working
apply
mother
it
as
to that
well.
piece. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Maggie, I'm curious. You are also a teacher, correct? Tell us a little bit about your teaching.
Yes, I first moved here and danced or worked for the Nashville Ballet and taught for many years. And then after having my own children, I had to be with them after school. So I've had the great opportunity to teach at Belmont University. So I teach the dancers during the day so I can take care of my kids in the afternoon.
Okay.
As well as Lipscomb University. I have a school out in Cookeville. And in the summers, I choreograph and teach guest artists all over the country, for that matter.
So how would you say your experiences with the Ailey Company, how do they impact what you're doing now?
Just about everything.
Yeah.
Again, I love the well-rounded dancer, not just focusing on one technique, but being able to do it all. The love and the excitement that comes from not just performing, but being in the studio and being part of such an amazing group. I just will never forget being so welcomed by the very seasoned dancers at that time. Like Constance was speaking about, there were dancers that danced well on into their 40s and 50s. And even Dudley Williams, I think, was in his 60s before he retired. So yeah.
And that's something you can pass along to the next generation, sort of that open-mindedness and interest in being inclusive.
Yeah. The other thing that I think Alvin did for all of us was, again, just accept us for who we were. I remember being a ballet dancer and just thinking, I don't have that body type. I'm tall. I'm not this skinny mini. Cookie cutter dancer, as he would say. But when I watch that company and I see every different shape, size, color, background, the inclusivity of that. And then, of course, his work just speaks to all of us, like we mentioned before.
Yes, very, very much so. Constance, what is we mentioned you're the face of the poster, but obviously you have many more responsibilities and gifts that we'll see when we see the production. What is your role with the current production?
I am just a performer. I'm a senior member, so I know a lot of roles and have performed. So in a sense, too, I'm also that person. If there's an emergency real quick, they can, rely on me to step in.
Kind of a swing.
And yeah, in a sense. And also, just to help mentor the junior members.
Okay, very good. I do, since you mentioned junior members, I do want to quickly just talk about the Ailey ecosystem, I guess you could say. I mean, it's more than just performances. There's educational components, historical exhibits. Tell us a little bit about the whole shebang for the 65th anniversary.
Well, Alvin Ailey wanted to, he always said dance came from the people and should be given back to the people. So we have this huge school, the Joan Wiles Center of Dance in New York City, where we give a plethora of different styles of dance for all people of, all levels. We also have the arts and education. They go around to inner cities and teach dance and also educate them about Ailey and also, self-empowerment.
And you'll be doing some of these things along the way during the tour, right?
Yeah, we offer many performances where kids from schools come and get a taste of what an Ailey performance is, and also get educated about what happens behind the scenes, So not only are they seeing the dancers, but they're also seeing the crew and what their jobs are and wardrobe. So, It also gives them an idea that, if you want to work in the theater, there's other jobs besides just being the performer.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for taking time away from the tour. Well, you're not taking time away from the tour, thankfully, but taking time from when you would probably be resting up for the next performance to talk with us. Constance and Maggie have kicked us off with a wonderful discussion about the Alvin Ailey Dance Company, and it has 3 performances at TPAC next weekend, Friday and Saturday night, and a Sunday matinee. More information is available at tpac.org. Thank you to Constance Stamatiu for sharing your dance experiences. And Maggie Pelton is going to stick around for our next segment. We'll be right back.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for prep and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm LaTanya Turner, filling in for Khalil Ekalona, and this is Nashville. Today, we're talking about Nashville's dance scene. In the previous segment, we heard about the life and work of visionary Alvin Ailey, who founded a renowned dance company that changed the world of dance forever and continues to influence it. Now we zoom in to Middle Tennessee for a look at the vibrant and innovative dance community growing here. Staying with us for this segment is Maggie Pelton, a former dancer with the Alvin Ailey Company, who is a Nashville resident and adjunct professor at Belmont University. Joining us are Catherine Wilkening, supervisor of Metro Parks Dance Division, and Asia Pyron, founder and director of Pie Dance, an innovative contemporary dance company here in Nashville. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Catherine, you grew up in Franklin. So hometown girl.
I did. Mm-hmm.
But you moved to New York City and pursued a dance career there for several years before you returned to Nashville in 2013, correct?
I did. Mm-hmm.
So tell us about some of the exciting things that are going on in Nashville's dance scene compared to the other places where you've been.
I was very happy when I moved back from New York, I was very happy to discover that I was not going to have to convince people that they wanted to dance. I love dance so much and I want to share it with everyone. And what I found was that people are ready and willing and they just needed opportunities. So I looked at the resources that we had available. We have a wonderful classical ballet program that's been running for over 50 years that was important for me to keep running. Asia here has set a piece on our ballet dancers that'll be performed this weekend. Oh, wow. And one of the opportunities that was presented is that we focus on after school and evening programming, and we had a lot of space that was not being used during the day. I had coffee with Banning Bolden, who had come back to Nashville around the same time, who was taught by Maggie when she was a younger person here. And
all these 6 degrees of separation here.
So many connections. And she had her fledgling company, New Dialect, and what they needed was space. So I went to check out a rehearsal, loved what I saw. I said, hey, come on over. We have the space that's open during the day. We had Epiphany Dance Partners in residence, Chinese Arts Alliance of Nashville in residence, and New Dialect we added as a company in residence. They started rehearsing every day. They had seasons that performed at Oz Arts Nashville. They started bringing master teachers, and it attracted all of these incredible dancers to Nashville. And it was one of those things that just this dance ecosystem just grew and grew.
And this was circa what?
This was in 2013, 2014.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot was already happening. So we're going to talk some more about that in a minute. I want to get Asia in here because this is a room full of Southern girls. You're a Southern girl, too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Grew up in Atlanta before moving to Boston. And I love the fact that everybody moved away and came back. But after high school, you moved to Boston for education. You started your dance company.
Yes.
Your senior year called Pie Dance. And then you moved the company to Nashville. You decided Nashville was where you wanted your dance company to be. Why?
You know, the minute I actually came to Nashville, I came for the New Dialect Dance Intensive. My teacher at the Boston Conservatory worked with New Dialect, and Joy Davis, she is also from Nashville. And so she had just had amazing things about the company, amazing things about the city. So I had to go and see for myself. And I just fell in love, not only with the space, because I'm not a city girl. I'm very much a country girl. And I like my space. But I just fell in love with Centennial Performing Arts Studios, where Catherine runs the Metro Dance company and program. And I just appreciated how open and accepting everybody was. Sometimes dance spaces can be very challenging to feel that sense of I'm great the way I am. Like I don't need to prove myself every day, every time I step into an intensive. And it just felt like everybody accepted me for who I was and where I was in my training, and what I wanted out of the intensive was acceptable, and it was okay if it was different than everybody else. And I just felt like it wasn't just New Dialect, it was the people who live here. And that was the biggest realization. And I just knew, I was like, I know that if I move here, I'm going to be okay. Like, I know that I'm not going to be a starving artist. I know that I can use these resources because there's space for it. And obviously people are ready and they're hungry. And like, what more do you want out of the dance community?
Oh, yeah. You could see the vision. Tell us about Pie Dance real quick. What does the name mean?
Yeah, so Pie Dance is a dance company full of Nashville-based dancers, and we're creating original dance productions that activate and engage a radical point of view. We're just trying to get concert dance connected more to the masses and to get Nashville on board with what we're creating here.
Okay. And the name comes from your last name.
Yes. So my last name is Pyron. And so I totally slabbed, senior year, it was like Pie Dance works for me. Let's go. And also I like to say that, Pie Dance kind of makes you feel the way you eat a slice of pie. It's just easy and good.
Okay. Delicious. All right. So Maggie, I have to back up and correct myself because you aren't really a Southern born and bred girl, but we embrace you, okay?
Thank you.
Here in the South, we welcome everybody. You're actually from New Jersey, but I imagine you feel like you're from Nashville because you moved here in 1996. So
exactly.
That's quite a while ago from New York City, as we've said, after dancing with the Alvin Ailey Company. How has the local dance scene changed in the almost 30 years since you moved to Nashville?
It has changed enormously. I mean, when I was just talking to Catherine, when we first moved here, there was Nashville Ballet and 2 small modern dance companies, Epiphany and TDT. And like I was saying, I hadn't even heard about half of the companies that are going on now today. It's incredible. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, it was just growing and growing and growing. And what Nashville Ballet is today and all of these organizations, Oz Arts, adding that to, our facilities. There's just every studio has grown through these years. It just blows my mind.
Dancers find each other But I do feel like there's a bit of invisibility to the rest of the public about what's happening and how vibrant this community is. Is that what you observed, Catherine?
It is hard. I think, we're dancers. We communicate with our bodies and maybe not as well with our words all the time. And everybody works incredibly hard. Everybody has a lot of different things going on. And so the dance community is also very loyal. What I've found in Nashville in particular, it's very supportive. And I see people showing up at other shows for each other. And so performances are full. Our hope is that we can continue to expand and invite people in, continue to support each other, and then bring along new people for the ride. And I think it seems to be a very organic process to growing this community. But
do you find that collaborative spirit to be true as well? Let me ask Maggie, because you have touched on that subject, Catherine. Do you find that collaborative spirit?
Absolutely. I mean,
more so than other places?
Yes, absolutely. Nashville, the growth here is incredible. I feel like all of us, even just sitting here at this table, have intertwined one way or another. And like Catherine was saying, just including other voices to our experience has been incredible. I know just through the universities, we too sometimes struggle with getting the word out that we have a performing arts, department, that we actually have a dance minor at Belmont. Yes. And that's just, we just celebrated 20 years. And,
oh, wow.
And some people were like, we didn't even know there was dance there.
Okay, full transparency. I didn't realize it until learning your bio. So I knew about the music program, of course.
Exactly. So how are we going to, I appreciate this opportunity to actually hopefully speak to the community and let them know we're here, we're hungry, and we are very collaborative for sure.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, LaTanya Turner. We're talking this hour about the local dance scene with practitioners and innovators who are fueling its growth. Maggie Pelton, a former dancer with the Alvin Ailey Company who lives in Nashville and teaches at Belmont University. Catherine Wilkening, supervisor of Metro Parks Dance Division. And Asia Pyron, founder and director of Pi Dance, a professional dance company here in Nashville. So, you mentioned getting the word out is a challenge. That's not your gift. Your gift is movement. But I wonder how much of it has to do with awareness. And also, Catherine, you kind of touched on this, people knowing where to access this art form if you're not already in it. Let me bring Asia in, and then I'll get each of you to...
Yeah, and actually, as we talk about this is one of Pi Dance's missions, is that when we create our productions, we're trying to use popular subjects to bring people into these concert dance spaces. Commercial dance is usually, I feel, more successful in Nashville just because commercial dance is made for entertainment. It's made to entertain audiences. And concert dance is a little bit more... what my mom would say, a little artsy-fartsy, a little, fun and a little intricate. And, Pi Dance tries to meet in the middle. And so a lot of our work, we've tried concepts like doing contemporary dance to punk metal music. We've tried doing a dinner dance theater with a murder mystery whodunit at Lou Nashville. Shout out. And so, we strive to make performances that bring people into our community, and then hopefully we'll go to other concert dance performances and be like, wow, this is not far away from my general knowledge of art or just living. And dance is always just expressing humanity. And so that's really our goal in the community.
Okay. Maggie, how much of your work with this next generation of dancers is around something that probably they haven't done very much of, marketing?
Exactly.
And letting people know what they're doing.
Yeah. I was thinking when Asia was talking that I felt like Paul Vasterling with Nashville Ballet did such a good job of bringing in local artists and musicians, which also expanded the audience, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I thought that was, and I kept thinking, oh, that's a really smart thing to bring in the audience that just, as she said, isn't always there in the concert dance world. And so, yeah, with the generation that's coming up, it's just, again, telling them that we need to have a voice. And I do feel that at Belmont, our students are realizing that. We can't just rely on this beautiful Fisher Performing Arts Center, which, by the way, is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, it is. Absolutely confirmed.
But yeah, they have to speak. They have to get out there. They have to advertise. I feel like sometimes as dancers, we wait until the last minute to let it be known what is going on in this community. And there is so much to be done. So yeah, I think, and I will say, even as a dancer growing up, I never thought that what do I have to fall back on? And I'm always telling my students, there's so many aspects to the dance world. It's not just about being a student. It's about what goes on backstage. Not just as a choreographer, not just as a teacher, but we need people to sell those tickets and to get the advertising out there. So I hope that they will take advantage of that and keep propelling us forward.
I hope so. And you being here today, sharing your experiences, I think will help with that. Catherine, I think what Maggie might have been touching on a little bit is there's been sort of this, I don't know if elitism is the right word among the dance community, that, you come to us, we don't have to reach out to you.
Absolutely.
And so I'm wondering, with Metro Parks, which is a municipally affiliated program, have you seen that starting to change? And are more people able to find dance training because of it?
Absolutely. One of the benefits that we have being within the Parks Department is we have a vast network of community centers all over the city. And actually, the pandemic gave us a big creative opportunity to take our dance outdoors and all over the city. We did a spring concert at Cumberland Park outside. People brought picnics. It was a much easier way to sit, and Maggie presented a piece in that concert. A great way to bring the family. The kids can run around. One of the beautiful things that we saw is that children were dancing along with the dancers that they saw on stage. It feels more accessible. But in addition, we have access to these community centers that are right in people's neighborhoods. So I would encourage people to look at the community center schedules. They have some wonderful line dance classes. We've got seniors that are, what a huge social opportunity it is for seniors to get together, dance, have lunch multiple times a week. We've brought a project that we're working on, African Nashville, with Winship Boyd and Jeff Coffin, who bring artists over from West Africa. We've just started a pilot project over at Hadley Community Center where they go and visit the the seniors there. They dance and drum together. Folks can decide how mobile they'd like to be. If there are some mobility issues, they can get up and dance. They can decide to stay and drum. They chat with the artist. They'll have lunch afterwards and keep that social aspect going. And we have outdoor classes, we have indoor classes, we have seated classes, we have,
And these are all very accessible and affordable because they are affiliated with the community centers. And the thing I'm hearing from all of you that I really like is embracing people across the spectrum of demographics, age, gender, abilities. You have some dancers who are people with disabilities. So just like 10 seconds, tell me what you would want to say to encourage people to get involved no matter where they are on the demographic spectrums. Asia, go.
I'd say go to the next art performance that you see. The minute you see it, put it in your calendar.
Okay, Maggie.
It's the way to express yourself. And if you think that you've been holding on to something, you'll be so surprised what dancing can do to just release all that stress.
And Catherine.
If you are a mover, you are a dancer, please come and explore this creativity. It's a vast opportunity for everyone.
Wonderful. Great advice, all of you. Thank you so much for joining us for this part of our conversation. We have to take a short break and say goodbye, sadly, to Maggie Pelton. But Asia and Catherine will stick around for our next segment. When we come back, we'll find out how local dancers can have lucrative careers in the commercial world. Join the conversation by tweeting us at This Is Nashville, and we'll be right back. Tanya Turner, and this is Nashville. We're talking about dance in Middle Tennessee. So far this hour, we've learned about the growing concert dance community here, but dance is art, and like all artists, dancers have to make a living. So what are some of the commercial opportunities for dancers here in Nashville? Can they earn a living solely through dance, or is it a profession that requires a side hustle? Here to answer that question, Karen Huff, manager of Fresh Talent Group, a Nashville-based talent agency for dancers and choreographers, and she's director of Millennium Dance Complex in Nashville. And staying with me from our last segment are Asia Pyron, founder and director of Pi Dance, a Nashville professional dance company, and Catherine Wilkening, supervisor of Metro Parks Dance Division. Thank you all for being with us for this discussion. And welcome, Karen.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I'm going to start with you to answer our opening question. Can dancers earn a living solely from dance, or do they have to have a side hustle?
They can absolutely learn and have it in earning from dance. And I think it's a misconception because a lot of people don't think that that's a possibility. But there are so many avenues. You can be a dancer, you can be a choreographer, you can be a movement coach. There are so many things that you can do in the areas of dance, and people don't think of it that way. Mm-hmm. They think that, oh, when I get older, I'm going to have to do something else. And you can, but there's definitely opportunities in dance for it to make a regular living. Yes, absolutely.
And they get so focused, I guess, on the performing art core of dance as opposed to all these other...
Absolutely. Okay. Because, recognize that, a dancer has their facility, right? So they want to keep it healthy, and they're worried about when I get into my 30s.
What do you mean by facility?
Their bodies, keeping their bodies healthy. And some of them are concerned that, or their parents tell them, essentially is what happens, is that, what are you going to do? This is like a hobby. What are you going to do beyond that? But they come to learn that there are more things that they can do outside of, taking the facility that they have, teaching other people, either being a choreographer for music videos or even doing conventions. There's a lot of money in conventions. Some people judge. Mm-hmm. So there are so many different things that you can do in the area of dance, but just to have the exposure is everything. And I think more people are starting to see that, that's a possibility. Absolutely.
And you're doing a lot, I know, because I know you, to help people see that. Tell us about Fresh Talent Group and why you started it.
Yeah, so Fresh Talent Group started in 2016. And honestly, it was out of a little bit of frustration, if I'm to be honest. I have a daughter who's a professional dancer, and she wanted to leave Nashville because she didn't see opportunities in dance, and so she went to California. And there was a lot of dancers that would come here and do shows like the CMTs, the CMAs, and they would have dancers from California come in here to do those performances. And I'm like, but there's amazing dancers in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And so I just started kind of a little bit out of frustration, but also to help people. I'm kind of like the mom, auntie kind of person.
Yes, you are.
I'm very nurturing. And so I know there was a lot of youth that were really interested in pursuing dance as a career, and I wanted to help them.
And people were coming to you, right?
Yes.
Because of your daughter's success.
Yes, exactly.
Saying, how do I do this?
And I was helping people. I wasn't charging for it, I still don't charge for it, but I was helping people. Like, how did she get that? How did she get this opportunity? And then I just kind of was walking them through it. And I thought, there was no other agency that represented dancers, which was mind-boggling, actually. Mm-hmm. So we are still the only agency in Nashville that solely represents dancers, choreographers. We also have actors, and we have a couple vocalists. I'm not even sure how we got vocalists, but how that happened.
Triple threats.
Triple threats. But yes. And so it kind of came out of frustration, but it has grown to be something very positive and very rewarding for these dancers. Absolutely.
Well, it's amazing what you've done. And I know your story before today and the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. Asia, we're hearing terms like concert dance and commercial dance. So for our listeners, explain the difference.
Yes, so concert dance is, I would say, a dance form that is based off modern dance. It's based off ballet. We want to think of more And also just think about the setting. Like concert dance is self-explanatory. It's in a theater or it's in a proscenium setting most of the time. It could also be in a gallery, immersive and stuff. But when it comes to commercial, that's when we tap into more of TV sets. We tap in more to award shows and things like that. And I will say there is a stigma out there that commercial dance is where hip hop lies and where jazz lies, and that's also something that I don't really believe in. Like hip hop can be just as concert dance and it's just as valuable as contemporary modern ballet. And so it's really for me just where it's being set, what is the atmosphere that the work is being set in makes a difference.
Is there a financial component that distinguishes it? Because that's what I think a lot of people think, oh, concert is where you're just doing your thing and commercial is where you're making money.
I think like for me, a good gig is a good gig, whether it's concert or whether it's commercial, you know, and if I'm not a commercial dancer, but I'll do a commercial gig if the price is right. And I'll do same thing with concert dance. And so I do think as a concert dancer, you can definitely live. I have friends in Dance Theater Harlem in New York, and they are that is 100% of their time, 100% of their effort, their job. And so I do think that when you have the right circumstances and you can say yes to a job that gives you financial stability, but I don't think that there's a difference between a good commercial job and a good concert dance job.
Okay. Catherine, I'm wondering, would you say that Nashville is becoming a dance destination city?
Absolutely. Looking at the people that come in as guest artists and what their impression of Nashville is when they leave, they love working with the dancers here. They're often surprised at an incredibly high level of talent, engagement, professionalism, and it makes people want to come back. There's a real energy surrounding this city that I think is really exciting to visitors.
Okay. What about you, Karen? Nashville, a dance destination?
One of the things that I'm noticing even more recently, a lot of dancers from California have moved here.
Really?
A lot of prominent dancers. I won't name drop, but have moved here. And they're
dance.
I don't know if it's for dance, but they're definitely having an impact on our dance community. So they're kind of low key about the fact that they're here right now. Some of them have done a couple master classes, but they're here and they're huge names. So it's going to be interesting to see as time goes by how they're going to impact even more so commercial dance, concert dance, both of alike, you know?
Is it that they're kind of testing the waters? Because, Asia mentioned how she kind of came and checked things out first and was like, oh, I can vibe with this. And before they say they're here, are they testing the waters or what?
I don't know if all of them have come to visit. I definitely feel that in comparison to, of course, California, it's a cheaper place to live.
Of course.
Even though it's gotten more expensive here. But I think that's a part of the attraction. I think that people are starting to recognize that Nashville has amazing dancers. And so they don't really necessarily, I think Atlanta's not really the groove that they're going for. They really like the camaraderie and the kind of like Southern charm that we have here as well. And the fact that we have a very flourishing dance community here. It's pretty amazing, the amount of, so they're here. They're low key, but they're here.
Okay. And I'm a journalist and I'm nosy, so I'm going to find out.
Oh, I will tell you off air who is here. And some of them are literally on tour with really huge names right now too.
Wow.
So fortunately, some of them I knew beforehand, either through my daughter. We've done a lot of different movies and stuff for Fresh Talent, and I've either met them on set, and so for different projects. So when they got here, they immediately contacted me, some of them, and said, "Hey, I just want you to know I'm here. Blah blah blah. Let's grab lunch."
Wow.
So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to say that it's going to be very interesting.
Okay. Now I am really, that's so titillating. I can't wait to talk to you after the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, LaTanya Turner, sitting in for Khalil Ekalona. We're talking this hour about the flourishing local dancing and opportunities in commercial dance, as well as recreational dance experiences. Our guests are Karen Huff, manager of Fresh Talent Group, and she's director of Millennium Dance Complex. Asia Pyron, founder and director of Pie Dance, and Catherine Wilkening, supervisor of Metro Parks Dance Division. Let's talk, Catherine, about access to dance performance for people who hear about opportunities in the commercial world. And are people coming to you more so with an interest in, I want to make a living commercially doing this, as maybe a few years ago it was, I love dance and I just want to learn more about the art form?
We do get a lot of different interest levels, and we have had more students that come through our program that are interested in going on to study in college. And one of the things that we talk about are the many opportunities, whether they go on to be dance performers or not, to have dance as part of your profession, whether it's, we have a dance movement therapist, we have incredible physical therapists who work with dancers and beyond, who have a really amazing knowledge of the body that they can share. We have folks who want to become dance educators, which is a completely different skill set from being a performer, and is we have some wonderful teachers who are also wonderful dancers who can add that into the mix of making a living doing it. What I'm finding now is more of our teachers are performers and dance educators as their career, instead of just kind of maybe teaching for fun as a hobby. We really have a lot more dancers coming through that are looking, how do we make all of these pieces work together, where maybe we pick up a commercial gig here, maybe we pick up a teaching gig while we have our concert company putting together a performance. So we really try to talk through all of the opportunities that you can put together to make a career happen.
Okay. Asia, I wonder if you could just quickly tell us what makes the difference between, or what motivates a dancer to move from school hobby to professional work?
Well, what makes a difference is, I think, feeling like I can take everything that I've learned from training, because every dancer knows it takes a ton of training, a lot of being told what to do, a lot of feeling like, okay, like I've got a structure around me and it's going to tell me how to reach success. And what really makes a professional is deciding that I'm going to leave that structure and I'm not going to stay in my bubble, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try a bunch of auditions, or I'm going to try reaching out to studios. And that's what really makes a professional, because nowadays, even though it was more common for a dancer to belong to one company, that starts to dwindle. Even in New York City, almost every dancer I know is a freelancer, works with multiple companies at one time, multiple tours at one time. I mean, you were so versatile. We are our own business people, and we automatically just need to accept a lot of opportunities to make it a living. And so that is, it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of confidence, and you have
being flexible.
And being flexible. You have to believe in
literally
yourself.
And practically.
Literally and emotionally. Absolutely.
Okay. Karen, we're going to wrap up here in a minute, but you are also director of Millennium Dance Complex. So tell us a little bit about that and how it fits into all of this conversation.
So Millennium opened around 2018. It is a franchise business. So it kind of got its name from, because there's one in LA. So I call it our mothership. And it became famous because a lot of famous singers and choreographers would rehearse there. So Janet Jackson and Justin Bieber and a lot of those people would come and they would rehearse there. And so the choreographers became kind of well known because of that. And so I was really excited when Millennium opened here in Nashville. And it was actually a business that I was interested in starting. But I didn't have to do that because my friend, Tammy Williams, opened up a facility, and we offer everything from ballet, jazz, tap, heels, salsa. It's a great place for just kids and adults. So it doesn't really matter what level you're in either, because whether you are a beginner dancer or an advanced dancer, there is a spot for you at Millennium Dance Complex to take a class. So please come by.
All right. Thanks for that. And, this has been so much fun and invigorating for me as someone who has loved dance all her life. Thank you all so much for being with me. Karen Huff, manager of Fresh Talent Group and director of Millennium Dance Complex in Nashville, Asia Pyron, founder and director of Pie Dance, and Catherine Wilkening, supervisor of Metro Parks Dance Division. And starting tomorrow, Friday, April 19th, Nashville Public Radio will run a special 7-part series from NPR during this hour, 12 to 1 p.m. The series, Taking Cover, investigates the worst marine-on-marine friendly fire incident in modern history and the events that followed. This is Nashville will return on Tuesday, April 30th. You can take a listen to yesterday's show for a preview of this series and hear our interview with the creators. Thanks for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville is a production of Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced by Magnolia McKay. It was directed by Tasha A.F. Limley. Our fearless and chill board operator is Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind our theme music are LaRange and Namir Blade. Special thanks to Joy Ware, Brittany Portalatine, and Christopher Zunner. Listen back at thisisnashville.org, wherever you get good podcasts. The conversation doesn't end here. Tweet us at This Is Nashville, find us on Instagram, and tell us what you want from our show by filling out our survey.